Aquarius, welcome to your July 2017 love reading. It's Raina here. As I commence with my crude shuffling, I wanted to give you the heads up that I did decide to just do one form of love reading from here on out on YouTube. I did do a separate one for singles last month, and it was an interesting experiment. I'm always open to experimenting. However, I didn't feel that it yielded anything particularly earth-shattering in terms of the difference between it and my regular love readings. I really feel that no matter if you're single or not, you can watch this type of reading. Yes, I do tend to focus on past and present partners in your life. Why? Because most people have them, and they can be influential in kind of like unfinished business type of things. Even parents, all kinds of influences from the past can kind of keep you in a certain state and you feel like you're stuck. So that's one of the reasons why I like to bring that up. And, you know, I do have a past position on here, and sometimes it seems like a specific type of person. I am going to be offering, I don't know if it's going to be really tailored for single people. I think it will be, but anybody like this type of reading, anyone can really watch it, because even if you're in a marriage, chances are if you're watching a love reading, you have some kind of issues that are going on that are making you feel like the relationship is not good. So when you watch that type of singles reading, if it's one that's instructional, it will help people to kind of frame things in a different way so that they question their attitudes about love. I really want people to embrace the idea of working on yourself, and not in a neurotic way, but in a philosophical, kind of a spiritual path. Even when it comes to love relationships, always wanting to better yourself and not just blame other people for the state of your love life. So you can look for that. It'll be on my website, rainamoonastrology.com, in mid-June. So as I'm recording this, it'll be probably next week. And either go there, the link will be below. It'll say somewhere below. When it's ready, I'll put it down below in the description box. So here's this, and I'm going to separate these into piles, as I always do. Wow, well, you got a good one. Got some of that fire energy, some of that cups energy. Maybe there's an Aries person lurking around somewhere. But anyway, the overall theme, as I lean over this, is the Seven of Cups. So for people who are single, you may feel like you have so many options. Like all of a sudden there's all these people around you that you could date, and maybe that's even causing confusion. I know somebody's going to say, oh, I don't have anybody around me. That's what always happens. But the other possibility is confusion about something, or a combination of both of what I just said, because it can be that you have multiple opportunities, but you might not be going in the right direction. You might be attracted to a person who looks good, but really isn't. And that's why they depict it like this. I always call it the door number 7 card, where it's like there's all these I don't know if that was The Price is Right, but one of those game shows where it's like, okay, you know, which door should I choose? Bachelor number one. I'm mixing up game shows, but you know what I'm talking about. And that creature that's in the top left of this card, I don't know if you can see it. That looks like how's that, pterodactyl? I don't know, but that's what I'm talking about. It's something that may not be what it appears to be. And for Aquarius, this can happen. You know, you can get into some strange relationships sometimes because you're very open, and maybe even attracted to people off the beaten path. And some people are really crazy, you know, and it's not fun crazy. It's crazy. So be very wise, be discerning. That doesn't mean that you're judgmental. It just means that you're seeing things as you should, and whether or not this person fits into your life. Because we have in the past position, like a lot of things happening very quickly. And when that happens in relationships, that can really lead to, let's say it was with an Aries person, because I did get that for that, and for some reason I was thinking of this again. Aries people like to do things very quickly. And I could totally see an Aries person being like, hey, let's get together and let's just, you know, whatever. And you just met and they want to move in together. And you're like, hey, you know, what the heck? Maybe. And you find out that they're really nuts. So there may have been a lot of quick developments in a relationship. Very passionate first meeting. And also another thing that I was thinking too is that some of you may have been confused about a marriage or a current partnership, because I see here, yeah, it would be like a marriage because this is the card of you know, the legal system. So you may have been kind of in the dark about where you stood in a marriage, and then all of a sudden everything started to kind of flow again. You know, we did have Venus and then a Mercury retrograde, and during that time there may have been kind of like this, you weren't quite sure where you stood, or you weren't sure what you wanted to do, and then all of a sudden maybe the other person just made the move. Yeah, you know. A lot of times people think that, and I think that's true, that you are an unpredictable sign. Definitely, I think, you know, because of that Uranian influence, that you can be very unpredictable or erratic, but it's not all the time, because you are a fixed sign, so you do tend to have patterns. But sometimes you deviate from those patterns for whatever reason. And maybe you were reluctant to get out of a bad relationship because, and it could have been with a fire sign, because you really didn't want to start anew. And that person made the decision for you. But I feel like you would have been unhappy in the relationship. Maybe you didn't know what exactly where they were coming from. Maybe they were being evasive with you. The higher message in all of this is the Magician card, which is all about, and it's funny, there's that 8, but it's a symbol for infinity, and speaking to your own personal power. It's interesting because this card does connect with Mercury, I believe, which I was surprised to find out. Although you could say mind over matter, where you are like the alchemist and you make things happen. And perhaps you made something happen and you didn't even realize it. Maybe you really longed for a good relationship. And you're able to manifest it, and I think you might know that. But I think more than anything, for some of you, it's manifesting peace of mind, because you may have been in the state of confusion because of somebody else's behavior and their attitudes. And you may have felt like you were wandering around in the dark, and now things are clear. Maybe you are getting divorced from this person, or it could be also that a Libra person has come into your life and there is a sense of balance, a sense of some kind of joy that you haven't experienced for a long time. The card that that crosses you is the Emperor card, and this is associated with Aries, but this can also be anybody who is in the military, a police officer, could even be a father who is a toxic influence, someone who tries to control you. It might be your ex, whether they're in Aries or not, but they're very rigid in their beliefs, maybe dictatorial, a petty tyrant type of an individual. And this is the person that you're trying to get away from, perhaps. And you don't appreciate their way of looking at life. Maybe they're very pessimistic and negative. In this challenge position, this is the person who is very controlling. And that's something that doesn't sit well with you. The advice, or what's coming in, this is a lot of social energy, which I think is really Aquarius's forte, or, well, it's something that you're good at, socializing, but I also think it's something that's a bit of a tonic for you right now, because some of you may have been in a state of confusion with a partner, and that may have led you to kind of isolate yourself. And maybe you haven't been your typical self while you were in a toxic relationship. And this is actually a very healthy and good for you to get back into the swing of things with people that are just platonic friends. You know, Aquarius is the ruler of the 11th house of friendship. And so you are like the quintessential friend because you're detached enough and tolerant enough to appreciate people from different walks of life. And so being a friend to somebody is very important to you, and almost more important to you than being a partner to somebody. You would rather be somebody's friend. And what's nice about that is that, what I was going to say, what's nice is you might meet somebody while you're socializing that is the right person for you, because as the end result here, we have the Ace of Wands. This is like raring to go, excitement, new relationship, perhaps in this context, maybe with a fire sign. So we're talking about Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. If you've dealt with a toxic Aries in the past, you may say, oh God, no, not another Aries, but keep your options open. But this is definitely a passionate beginning to a relationship, and this could be a very powerful influence in your life, and you may meet the person when you're socializing. So I like that, and I like the Magician too. I hope you enjoyed this, Aquarius. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome July. Bye.